Now, as you know, I've been saying so many things about my concerns and all the alarm bells that were ringing in my head, but how did I eventually find out that she was part of a cult? So obviously, I'm the type of person where, regardless of how introverted I am, I have people in my corner that I speak to. I have friends who I'm close knit, I'm like in close relationship with, that if I tell them something, even if it's little, their alarm bells go up too. Also, I'm very, very close to my family, especially my 3 siblings, and I tell them basically everything. Even if I need to go to the toilet, they are going to find out. And so one of my closest and most dearest friend, I told her about how I was feeling about Hanna and this whole situation, and she was like, this sounds like red flags. And I'm like, yeah, it does. There's something not completely right with her. And so she befriended someone in her church, and she basically shared some things that I told her about my experience with Hanna and being there, and she shared my story to him, and he said basically like, yeah, it's a bit too familiar. And so I was like, you know what, let me just send her a picture of this girl from her IG, because again, she doesn't have a private account, it's public. And so I sent it to my friend, she sent it to him, and he confirmed, yep, I know her. And what he said was, wow, shocking, but not at the same time. So basically what he said is that she is a regional leader for the ICC, and that she shepherds people under her home. Also, for females and males, it's always going to be just females, and the males only males. And so she shepherds people, the females in her home, and she basically checks them and keeps them in line. And the reason why they all stay together under the same basically household is to stop them from being indoctrinated from somebody else or misaligning themselves with the values that the cult basically raised them to uphold. So the residency and where she lives in, and I'm not going to say exactly where, but it is in northwest London. And what he told me was that she has been breaking tenancy laws, and I believe that, because when I did go to her house, I also wondered, why are there so many people living under this roof even though there's a small number of rooms for these girls? I found that a bit odd that they're okay with doing things illegally, and they're Christians, supposedly. This credible source that my friend befriended, I think we're just gonna call him Hero, he told me that basically what she does, and basically what Stelly does, and Solomon does, they basically use these art and faith events and discussions as a way to lure people into Bible studies. That's the main purpose. So they love bomb you with compliments and food and all these fun activities, only to eventually get you into the Bible studies, which is where you'll be indoctrinated. Hero, the credible source, how I found out about all this information, he basically told me the recruitment process is the Bible study. So as soon as you're in the Bible study, that is their recruitment process. That is the indoctrination. So like mentioned before with the patronization, he also told me that you are patronized, but they do it in a way where they're awfully cheerful. And again, this is to make you feel like they're being nice to you. It's psychology, you know? It's like when you tell a dog to be quiet and you're saying it in such a sweet voice, but you're really actually just being rude. Or if you swear at a dog, but you're saying it so nicely. It's psychology. What they're doing is they're messing with your heads into making you think that they really care for you, and really they're actually out for your downfall. And even with these people, I feel so sorry for them, because they're so into the cult that they think they're doing things for the right reasons, and it's absolutely not. So like I mentioned before, a part of their process when they're basically indoctrinating and recruiting you, you have to live with the same members. This is to isolate you, because like I said before, if you are around people with a difference of opinion, you're less likely to assimilate to what they want you to uphold, their values, their principles, whatever it is, all of that darkness. Yes, they want you to stay put in there, which is why they're very strict on the people you communicate with on a day-to-day basis, and so you can't date anyone outside of anyone out of the cult. You can't live with anyone outside of the cult, because again, it would harm their framework. It would harm your line of reasoning, because you're more susceptible into becoming different to what they're teaching you. So they can say whatever they want, but this credible source, he knows the cult, he knows the plans and the framework like the back of his hand. So that was just like, it was really weird, honestly. When he told me everything, I was like gobsmacked. If I had gone further into their Bible studies when they were talking about salvation, you would have heard me basically say, or even if you were there, heard them say that basically being saved by grace isn't enough. And I believe that they say this because they want your resources. They want money. They want your money. They live off it. And I think that's why they're so persistent in getting people to be a part of their cult. You know, like they'll take anyone, even if the person seems like they're not susceptible to being a part of a cult. They target anyone because they need the money, they need the funding, they need it to go widespread. They'll do anything. They're quite desperate, you know. And for Hanna, I will say, you're quite consistent and you're quite committed, because it took her 4 years to get me to basically do 2 Bible studies, maybe 2.5. It took her 4 years to get me to do a Bible study, and within those Bible studies, I already knew there was something going on. There was something off. Crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I even contacted other people who I knew who had gone to the art and faith discussions. Some were receptive, some weren't. Obviously the people who weren't receptive to what I was saying, they were okay with the practices of the cult, because they're probably members there and they go to church and it's just like, what's she talking about? She's weird. Da, 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 da. Anyway, I honestly pray for these people. They need our prayers. They need healing. They need, wow, I feel so sorry for them. I feel so sorry for them, because you think that this is okay by any means. I just don't like the fact, you know what, other than like obviously the whole Christian aspect of it all and everything not being biblical, I'm still upset that they thought that you could get me? Bro, I'm too smart. And you know how I'm so smart? Because I recorded everything. So if any of you, and I've said it before, if any images or footages of me in those events are used to promote your cult in any aspect, again, I am pressing legal charges against you. I most certainly will, because what you guys are doing is crazy. And if you try and spin this story like, so what's it called, I think it cut off for some reason, but we're back. Yeah, so I'm just like, I'm really irritated because she thought that she could recruit me. Do I have mug written on my forehead? Like Kenya said, don't come for me unless I send for you. I didn't send for you, so why are you coming for me? I just feel very irritated that I was chosen. Do I look like someone who could be fooled? Because this whole entire time, I haven't been completely certain about my opinions on her. Like, I was always uneasy, and I had to use other people to make me feel easy about my assessment on her. I don't know. Also, what made me feel like she was a very calculated person, right, is because the last faith and art discussion that I had gone to, which was at her residence this time, we were doing like a list of questions, whatever, and she was talking about trust and how she finds it hard to trust people and all this and that. And then not so long afterwards, she was talking about how she's going to have an event at her home, and it was going to be an open mic, and that she was going to get people to do flyering, and the flyers obviously would state where her residence is, and she would invite strangers into her home. I feel like that was weird, and I felt like that was calculated, because for someone who doesn't easily trust people, to invite anyone to your home, I don't care if it's for a Christian event or not, doesn't sound like someone who typically doesn't trust people. Like, I would never ever do such a thing, ever. And I told her, you know, if I didn't know you and you did this, I wouldn't come. I'd rather you pick a venue that you're renting, or there's like, you don't necessarily need to rent the venue, but if you could occupy it for a free space and get more people to purchase things in the event because of whatever you're planning, I'd feel more inclined to come. But if you told me that and I was a stranger, I would not come. I wouldn't trust that. And that's why I was questioning her. Like, I was like, people who typically don't trust people wouldn't be okay with just bringing people into their home so easily, making it such an accessible space. And then it just, again, reminded me of the testimonies. There was something off. And I felt it for a very long time. And I was so thankful for when me and my friend basically confirmed all my assumptions about her, because it made me feel so vindicated about my feelings about her. Because I remember I told one of my friends about how I was feeling, and she was like, maybe she's just nice. And I was like, the thing is, I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, because if you know me, you will know that, again, I'm very introverted, I'm very private, I'm very reserved, and I don't trust people easily. I don't at all. And I'm very harsh in my assessment of people, and it's because I'm trying not to be careless. I'm not being strict with my assessment with people. I'm doing it because people like to hurt other people. And if you see the patterns and what people do when they try to kind of coerce you into thinking a particular type of way, and I've always been an outspoken person, it just makes me feel like, there's something not right. Like, there's something in the buttermilk that isn't clean. Like, there's something odd, and I feel so vindicated now. But I feel sorry for her, and I'm disappointed in her, upset that she's been coerced into believing that this is real and that this is good for her. She's been in the cult since 2019. Almost a decade. The faith and art discussion events. One of them is called Right Way Up 1. And the one that Solomon decided to make for himself, again, this is his own way of recruiting, indoctrinating people. It's called Genesis Expositions, you know? And again, at first I was like, should I say this? Should I not? No, because what you're doing is basically bringing shame to Christianity. I have zero tolerance for people who involve themselves or like to collaborate in having counterfeit Christianity. Christianity has been smeared so many times by people who claim to be Christian and not walking and being bearers of Christ's light. And I'm not going to allow you to already cause dysfunction within Christ's family. People need to open up. You know, the thing is, the reason why I was able to detect all of this, you know, one, I have a relationship with God. I've read the Bible multiple times. I read the word and I have discernment. The Holy Spirit has been given to me and many others, all of you. Anyone who believes in Jesus, anyone who has been baptized, you have been given the Holy Spirit, who is a deposit, who is your helper, who will help you gain full understanding, who will give you the utterance to speak, you know, speak wisdom, speak light, bring love into this world. The Holy Spirit will help you in identifying things that are of Christ and not of Christ, you know? And so for me, it was very easy to detect that things were not simply, nothing was completely simple about the way that she operated. I could see there was something odd about it. And again, everything happens in the spiritual realm before it happens in the material. And I'm so thankful that my discernment has been A1 since the very beginning. Like I said, I am a very outspoken person. I have been since I was a child, and it's gotten me in trouble multiple times because I'm not afraid to say what I need to say. I don't care if it makes me look bad. I don't even care if it makes me look like a villain. If the Holy Spirit compels me to say something, I'm going to say what I need to say. There's nothing you can do that will stop me. And I feel very compelled to speak on about this because there are too many people who have been affected by the ICC, also known as the ICOCS or whatever it is. Like, it's crazy. So if you have ever seen ICC attached to any city in this world, it is a cult and you need to get out. Any ICC, ICOC, anything of the sort, anything, It is a cult and you need to get out. Hear this from me. I didn't even get close to what they wanted me to get to, you know. I'm not gonna lie, I'm low-key kind of confused how she didn't recognize that I was onto her. She should have recognized that I was onto her the second time we had the Bible study. I'm surprised she didn't think that I was suspicious of her then, if she didn't think I was suspicious of her before, when I was questioning her about certain things. What I want to do, well, actually I'm gonna say this first. Please pray for anyone you know that is in a cult, who might be in a cult, or is like, whatever. If the Holy Spirit is telling you that something's off, please listen to the Holy Spirit. Don't think for a second, maybe I've got this wrong, Don't wait a second, like, come guns full blazing, nah, this ain't right, go for it. But please do pray for all these people. Please pray for Hanna, pray for Stelly, pray for Solomon, pray for every single person under that establishment, because it is not a church. It is deceptive, it is weird, it is evil, it is, everything about it is atrocious, and I don't understand why any of them are okay with what's going on. Honestly, I'm so baffled, I'm so angry, because obviously this is the work of the enemy, and this is his way. Like, again, the enemy targets mostly Christians. I feel like sometimes people get a misconception of that he's just targeting like the world. Well, he's going to target the people that are who are contending for a relationship with Christ more. And what better way to do that than to cause confusion by having a church that's not really a church, and it being a mask for something else that is more sinister. So what I really want to say, this is the last thing I want to say. So if you feel like you're in a cult, or your friend is in a cult, and you want to ask questions that are quite subtle but will probably give you more intel on whether they're a part of a cult or not, please write this down. I'll probably make a PDF file and ask them all of these questions, please. But also, what I also want you to do is, if you ever feel like there's something wrong with a person, with their theology, or something doesn't completely sound like sound doctrine, or it sounds like sound doctrine but there's something spiritually off about that person, look at who they follow and who follows them. If they follow, again, anything associated with cults, again, block them, never return any of their messages. If they try to, again, badger you with messages outside of social media, they have your phone number, again, put a protective order, get a restraining order, file lawsuits. You know what? You know how TMZ is known as the litigious group? I'm litigious. I will sue the brakes off of you. I don't even care what it is for, but I will sue for emotional damage, emotional distress, whatever the case may be. I will sue. And so if they do anything to harm you in any aspect, please take it to the law, take it to the court of law, settle it like that, because that way, again, it's more damage on them than it is on you, and at least you've known that you've done your part in making sure that you're protected by the court of law outside of what you can do by your own means. But again, here are the questions that I truly advise for you to read. Now, just from interacting with her, she failed miserably because she's a part of a cult and she is deeply indoctrinated. I feel so sorry for her. Honestly, I feel massively sorry for her and every single person involved, because I met like a few people through the events that I actually liked, you know, but obviously they're not going to listen to me. They believe whatever their leader says, and it's not God, and that's the problem. Honestly, I'm hoping this video helps anybody who has been coerced in some way to go into this event that, again, was guised as something that's really nice, but it's actually for something that's way worse than what they were planning to get themselves into. You know, if anyone ever makes you feel rushed or insists you in being a part of something that you don't necessarily want to be a part of, run. It's just a sad world that we live in. But again, it just means that we need to continuously pray, seek God. Also, I think because again they go for young people as well, because young people are quite young and impressionable, and so it's much more easier to target them, which is very sad. And that's why I'm even more mad, because you thought you could get me. What do I look like? So I would advise that you actually go to have your own church, you know, where they do their own Bible studies. You know, obviously assess whether your church has sound doctrine or not. But the churches that I would definitely recommend is St. Paul's, KXC, King's Cross Church, and Saint Church, which is in Hackney. Those churches are known for having sound doctrine, beautiful worship, mix of different ethnicities being present together, and just the love of Christ just continuously reigning on them. Like the Holy Spirit is so immense and present in those churches. There are probably other churches that are like Saint Church in Hackney, KXC in King's Cross, St. Paul's in Hammersmith. But yeah, those are the churches I would definitely recommend. But yeah, if there are any more churches that I should recommend, I probably should go to them first, because those are the only ones that I've been to that I actually really enjoyed and I can vouch for. But yeah, that's all I have to say. And honestly, pray for them, pray for me, you know, because again, the enemy doesn't like it when we expose, you know, darkness, you know, and we bring truth and we bring light. So please pray for me and my protection, you know, because I know I'm already protected, but pray for me, because these people, they don't like it. They don't like truth seekers, and they don't like people who are intelligent. They don't like critical thinkers. They don't like people who are independent thinkers, people who don't have to have dependency on other people in order to live a fruitful life. No, I only depend on Jesus, you know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and it was fruitful, but there are also a lot of videos that are out there that are exposing ICC, ICOC. Again, please watch their videos, because it's necessary for you to get the full grip of what they're doing, because it is intentional to, again, stir people away from their families, from their friends, and into something that is so malicious. And so yeah, thank you guys, and that's about it.